Hello, it's Amy with Just a Little Ink. I'm jumping on a live, and if you're catching this in the recording or on my YouTube channel, for a fun fold graduation card. It uses the Cascading Pleats design. It is not my own design, and I've taken some tips and tricks from other demonstrators, but this card idea is my own. And so I'm excited to share it. I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera over so that you can watch and see all the different things that I am going to demonstrate with. I am using the Cap and Gown stamp set that is in our online exclusives. It is, as of this morning, is still available. It's not on a retiring list yet, but I am gathering at some point they may do that. But this is a great graduation stamp set. Good to have in your arsenal if you don't already have it. It's been out for at least a year, and so at any point those things can change. But it's a red rubber stamp set. Stampin' Up! Carries their stamps. If you've been with them very long, you know this, in red rubber with a cling adhesive on the back. It's something you add in the stickers, and in photopolymer. Those are our two different options. And so I'm going to be using the Cap and Gown. And then I'm thinking, because I'm kind of sliding off a few things, I just got the Tags to Go bundle. This is also an online exclusives item, but I really liked the Congrats, and I kind of like the 2-day Marks and Adventure stamp. So we may use those. I may use the Congrats. We'll see. I know for sure other things that I'm going to use. You will need, for this particular card, you're going to need a card base. I'm using Smoky Slate. You're also going to need some pieces that coordinate with that, or you could choose to do in different options. A couple other pieces, and I've kind of talked through the measurements. The card base is 5.5 by 8 1/4, which is a little shy of what we normally use. Then you'll need two pieces, one that's 4 3/4 by 3.5, and another piece that's 2 3/4 by 4. And then I've chosen some layering pieces. Not exactly sure because I didn't write them down. They're just a 1/4 inch, I believe, short of what these other pieces are for the front. I've got a typical 4 by 5 1/4 that's going to go on the inside, and then I've chosen a photo to go on my middle panel. And so, and I just used a stock photo of a graduation. You would want to use your graduate's photo there if you're going to choose that option. So let me get started. I found some really neat ideas on how to do this faster. And for my Stamp Club ladies, you may want to kind of watch this because I was just so impressed. So we're just going to go ahead and get going on this tip. This particular method of doing the Cascading Pleats was from Jackie Williams. I believe she's out of New Zealand, a wonderful demonstrator. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to go ahead. I've got my 8 1/4 inch measurement at the top rail of my paper trimmer. I'm going to line it up at that 4 1/4 inch mark, and I want to make sure that I'm using the lighter colored blade, which is the scoring blade. And I'm going to go ahead and just score. That way I know where my half or my fold is to make this my card base. Then what works for me is to turn it over, and then I want to score at 1 inch. Back a few times. I'm going to score at 2 inches. I'm going to score at 3 inches. And if I slid this over, you would note that this then is at 4 inches. So those are our score marks. I'm going to set this aside at the moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fold it at that middle point. And I'm going to grab my bone folder here. Pardon my arm runs across. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that. And then we're going to make this in an accordion pleat. So I'm going to fold it back on itself. I'm going to turn it back again. So we're getting that accordion portion. That's the cascading part. All right. And then this is where things for my Stamp Club ladies are going to vary some. I'm going to grab this front panel and I'm going to go ahead and actually attach it on there. So I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive along this edge. Remember, I've got a 1-inch, have a 1-inch fold here. So I'm going to line it up at the base at 1 inch, making sure that the lower sections line up and that this front section is along the right edge, or the left edge, excuse me. So the left and the bottom are lined up. Then I'm going to fold it over and I'm going to do the same thing with this middle panel. I'm going to put some adhesive along that left edge. You could use a heavier adhesive if that's what you want. I'm finding that the Stampin' Seal actually does a pretty good job, but you could use Seal Plus. So again, I'm going to line up this bottom edge, making sure it is straight. And I'm going to have it just inside where my score line mark is. So I'm going to push this here. And then we're going to deal with this section with my scissors. So I'm going to pull out names are just not coming well today. So I'm going to pull out my paper snips and I'm going to line up. I just want to be careful with how I'm coming into here. I'm just going to come along this edge so that I've snipped up to the first score line. And then I'm going to come in and angle this now. And so I'm going to pull that back. And I'm going to make an angle up to the top of this panel we just put in. Then we can pull this out of the way. And I'm going to open up. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to snip to this next section. So I can pull this over. Because what we want is we want to come again at the top edge and we're only going to cut along to that score mark. So I've released then all of this section. And then I'm going to come and pull this back because I want to then come and make another angle from the top of this point down to here. To me, this was a lot simpler than using the paper trimmer to cut off sections. I hope that you find it to be equally so. So then I have my card base, my Cascading Pleats card base. Super simple. I love that part of it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach this to the inside. This is my back panel. We could go ahead and stamp first. We're going to be really bold and just put it in. How's that? That may be a dumb idea, but we're going to do it anyway. So you never do things like that, right? So I'm going to pull it up into here. I just want to center this panel in the back. And I find that if it's in there, then my stamping, if I want it to show, I'll know where it's at. So I'm going to put that back panel in there. We're going to attach my photo, which I cut down, so it's a 4 1/4, I believe, by 3 1/2. I've got my tape measure, or my paper trimmer right here. We'll just tell you what size I'd made my photo. I made my photo at, yes, 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, which you could easily use a 3 1/2 by 5 photo for this. I'm just going to put a little tack on here just because this is obviously not going to stay. This is again, a stock photo, but I wanted to give the idea. And I think it'd be really great if you had it in black and white and you're using these colors. It just goes really well. So I liked that. And then we're going to do some stamping on the front here. So I'm going to grab out that graduation cap and gown. We're going to start with just the gown part. And I'll tell you quick since I got that measure here. This was a 2.5 by 3 3/4 inch piece of basic white. So line up in the center here. I'm going to grab out my block to attach that. I happen to know that my stamp is fairly straight, and so I don't need to worry. If you're not sure, you want to kind of adjust when you turn it over on the back. That's a great tip. Just so if you're not so sure that it's lined up straight, you make sure it is when you're looking, and then you'll know that it's lined up to the base of your block. Because I'm using real red to coordinate with my basic gray, I'm going to go ahead and ink this in real red. And I'm still using some of my older stamp pads that are current colors. And so I have some of the old style stamp pads still. So I'm going to make sure that I'm lined up straight. Come up. I don't want to be too high. There we go. Nice firm pressure. Hold it there for a few seconds and then lift it off. And then I want to do the same thing with that little cap. I'm going to line it up on my block. Make sure I've got adequate ink. And then I'm going to line up here. Just real simple here. All right, so then I'm going to go ahead and I may have to get up for a second, grab a second piece of paper because I was thinking something here. So. All right, so got our cap and gown cut, and I've got it just on a 1/4 inch bigger top and bottom piece of real red just to layer it. We can go ahead and attach this piece to the front of my card. And so I'm going to line up just a little bit of adhesive on there, don't need a lot. This is going to lay on the front here. And so line up just a little bit of reveal like so. All right, so what I need to grab, so you'll have to pardon me for just a second here. Good to have some scrap pieces of basic white cardstock kind of laying around. And I'm pretty sure that this 3/4 inch piece will work out quite well. So I'm going to grab my Congratulations Graduate stamp. Again, I want to make sure from the back side that I've gotten it straight on my block. And I've got a long enough piece that if I don't, it works out. So line up here. I've been having fun making graduation cards. And even if you don't need them this year, what I have found is you probably need them next year. Okay, so my graduate looks like it's a little high. Let's see if we can fix that over here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead for now and close my pad up. I don't know about you, but I find that if I don't do that, I'm certain to stick not only my finger into it, but probably something else. So I'm going to go ahead and get my paper trimmer. I'm going to trim off just a little more on that one end. And then I can trim off on the front side so that I have a congratulations graduate to stick on the front. And I think it'd be great to stick it, pop it up. If you don't want it too thick, you certainly could just apply it flat. Just add a little adhesive there, but I'm gonna put a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals. Set that over here, put on the front. This part, you've seen a lot of cards, I'm sure, using this set in this manner, as far as the graduation cap and gown. So I like this, and so that's what we're going to go with. All right. So then, that's the simple part of the front. And I think you could make that look great. You could add more here if you wanted. I'm not going to do that. They're going to have their photo there, which I think is kind of cool. Then we're going to play around with what we're doing on this side. So I'm going to kind of just open it up. And I have those cute hands, which I have seen so many different things used with them. But I'm going to pull out my Memento black ink, and I'm going to add a couple hands down here. See if I can get them close to the bottom. That looks great. And you clean this off so I can have that block handy. You want to use, I mean, you can test other inks, and if you're not using Memento ink, to use our Stampin' blends, but that is the preferred ink for applying Stampin' blends over. Stampin' blends, because they are an alcohol marker, can blur and cause bleed of the ink that's used underneath if it isn't one that is water-based. And so I'm going to line up here. That works out actually quite well. So then I want to put the graduation cap, the outlined one, because you get more options in this set. Put it on here. And it won't matter if it's straight or not, because we're going to have it flying in the air, like so. And I want it high enough that it looks like it's flying up, and yet low enough that when this panel's covering, it covers it up. And then I do think I want to take that congrats from Tags to Go. And we'll be real bold with how we're going to try this. So I'm going to line up my congrats. Make sure I'm fairly straight. Okay. And I'm going to pull out my Real Red ink again. And I'm going to stamp it along the top. So I'm going to create my own, my head gets in the way, I apologize. I'm going to create my own corner stamp by just using a line art greeting. And I want to do congrats down the other direction. And if I'm straight enough, we'll see. I'm going to put another one. Yeah, it could be a little better, huh? You could use like a positioning tool. The top worked really well to make sure that it's straight and lined up. But I kind of liked how this could then come over, and you can have congrats coming this direction on the side. Yeah, any congratulations stamp would work real well for that. Then we want to go ahead and color, and that makes it super simple. I'm using the 900, which is in the lights for our skin tone, our natural tones, and that's to color in the hands. We have a lot of options. And then when I'm done here, I'll show you the card that my Stamp Club ladies made this past Tuesday evening. And it's the same layout, totally different set of colors, totally different design and occasion even. So I'm going to pull up into here quick. Again, you can blend with all of these skin tone, natural tone blends to get lots of different skin tones. They work well for a lot of animal coloring in as well. So they're a great option to have in your arsenal if you love coloring. Then, let's see, I'm going to do just, I think, just with Real Red. I pulled out the wrong ones. What did I pull out here? I did not pull out Real Red. So we're going to not make it Real Red because I don't want to get up again. I pulled out Poppy Parade. So we're going to just use my Smoky Slate blends. I don't know about you, but at my graduation, the boys wore a different color. They wore the coordinating color that was in my school colors. So we're going to just assume that this was someone else wishing graduation. So I'm going to quickly come into here. I'm going to switch back over to the bullet point, and we can make the tassel red after the fact so that this all goes. The nice thing about doing it this way is then you can still write into here. I do have a suggestion though, that if you want to make longer notes than just congratulations and sign your name, put another panel, the 4x5¼ inch panel of basic white on the back side of this card, because it would be a great way to then have a place for a longer greeting. So we're just going to skip this. I will add some red to my tassels after the fact, but what a fun card. I hope it's something that you enjoy. I would love to see your ideas. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to be yours. I do send hand-stamped thank you notes for every order, and you can order anytime at justalittlelink.stampinup.net. I appreciate you subscribing to my YouTube channel if you have not done so already, and if you are a subscriber, thank you so much, and thank you for watching. Your comments and your liking do help me in my pursuit to just do better and to have more followers, and so thank you for doing that. And if you're on Facebook, thank you for joining me. Please comment. And if you aren't following my Facebook page, Just a Little Ink, then I would love it if you do so. And with that, let me share with you that card I promised I would share from my Stamp Club. So we used the Spring Corners bundle that's in the online exclusives category in the online store, and made it using basic black and then some other coordinating colors, Lemon Lime Twist, some Melon Mambo, some Summer Splash, and just a fun card. Fun card. So let me flip back over here. Thanks again for joining me. We'll look forward to seeing you next week, hopefully back to Thursday. Thanks again.